It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome to the Divas That Care. I'm Candace Gish. This April, we are turning the spotlight inward with a special mini-series, Unapologetically Unique. We talk a lot about being change makers here, but the most important change starts with standing firmly in your identity. In this series, we're ditching the comparison game and learning how to lead with unapologetic confidence. If you're ready to embrace your individuality and own your story, you're exactly where you need to be. Let's get started. Today, I'm very excited to be introducing a new diva to our family. Her name is Erin Ward. Erin, welcome to the Divas That Care.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm very excited to have you on the Divas. Erin, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Yeah, so my name is Erin Ward, and I am the owner, founder, fundraiser for Star Benefit Auctions or Star Auctions. And yeah, I am not what you think of when you think of an auctioneer. So that's my claim to fame is what is something totally different. And we work for different nonprofits and charities. We only do fundraising events. We only work for nonprofits and different organizations, schools and organizations like that at their galas, helping them raise money for their fundraising causes.
Erin, how did you get into that? Because that is quite unique. You know, we were talking before the show, and I had mentioned that when I envision what an auctioneer is, it's not what you do. You know, I grew up in a farm, and our auctioneers talk really, really fast, and half the time I have no idea what they're saying, but they're always selling something. So the question I have is, why did you get into this, and what exactly do you do?
So I am a third generation auctioneer. And when you think of auctioneers, you definitely don't think of female auctioneers. Only 14% of auctioneers today are female. So, and you especially don't think about a New York auctioneer. You think of maybe the cattle guy or the car auctioneer guy or maybe the British guy, but you definitely don't think about a female from New York as the auctioneer. And I was told to sit down quite a bit growing up. My mom was actually a trailblazer female auctioneer. She created an entire world for female auctioneers. Back in the day, it was much different. But in addition to that, all auctioneers were something first. So they were maybe the cattle auctioneer or the car auctioneer, and then they would on the side do fundraising events. So when I started my business as a full-time fundraising only auctioneer, I was definitely told that's not an industry. That's not where you belong. That's not a thing. You can't do that a lot. And here I am 20 years later doing it loud and proud and having a great time doing it. But we are working only for nonprofits and showing huge success in that's our focal point. So although I can say that I'm a third generation, my mom sold heavy machinery at auction. So she was a very not typical what you picture either. And my grandfather was actually a restaurant equipment auctioneer. So title, yes, I do have that history, but learning and what we sell and what we do is very different and is sort of self-taught. I spend a lot of time working in the nonprofit sector. I work with development directors and the Association of Fundraising Professionals and really learn about what development tools are needed for that role. And it's more than just the fast talk.
I love this. Honestly, Erin, you're absolutely amazing. And when you said you're a third generation, I think that's amazing when you have followed in your family's footsteps because that just shows what type of an individual you are and how you're really inspiring. Obviously, the next generation too, because as a woman, it's sometimes a challenge to find out where our niche is. You know, I'm lucky to say like I'm a mother of four daughters, and they've all kind of branched in very diverse industries. You know, I have one that went into the oil and gas industry, became a technician, parts technician, which she's now a red seal, which is the highest you can get within that thing. And I'm like, you know what? It's really amazing when women don't do the typical jobs where people think that they should be doing. And I'm always in awe when I see females that, you know what? They They definitely have that. They just do their own thing, honestly. I'm gonna be like honest. I just love how they'll just uh go forward with what they want to do and inspire the other people around them. So thank you so much for doing that, Erin, because I really applaud you in that. I just think it's so great.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be super honest, is that the moment that things changed for me is when I stopped trying to be a successful auctioneer. Because what I thought was a
Hmm.
successful auctioneer had a cowboy hat, had a big gavel, had a southern drawl. There were all these different things. They had chest hair, and when I was like, no, I'm actually a stylish New York female auctioneer, and this is who I'm going to be, that's when my success changed. That's when my world changed. And when I sort of stepped into who I felt I was in my core, I sort of live up to what 13-year-old me would dream of for me. That's the person I'm trying to impress.
That's fantastic. I love it. So tell me, because it's nonprofit organizations and you're doing fundraisers and you're working with these groups, maybe explain that a little bit to our listeners because not all of us are from the New York area. I know these galas have got to be extraordinary, but can you kind of talk us and step us through all this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we travel internationally. We've been all over the country, all over the world doing these events, but it really looks like consulting. Honestly, most of the work that I do comes before the event. So, it's working with development teams, it's working with PTAs, it's working with co-chairs and board members and saying, how are we going to make this event successful? Because even though they might call and say, hey, you're the auctioneer, you're going to be on stage for 15 minutes, every single second of those minutes matters. And so we over prepare. We really train to know the organization. And it's funny is that somebody recently told me I was more of an on-stage development director. So I'm sort of this person that is walking the audience through an experience where maybe they're bidding on items, maybe there's a trip donated or something that was donated, but my strength, my superpower is in the paddle raise, which is just a moment where everybody in the community can make a donation. So it's funny is that people look up auctioneer and that's what you think of when you think of these events and what they're doing. But that paddle raise moment is this great opportunity of inclusivity, of community, of getting everybody to get involved. And we just go through it in different levels. We ask who's going to donate 5,000, who's going to donate 2,500, who's going to donate 1,000, and then thank them and applaud them. And we have call and response and we make this moment feel so impactful, inspiring, and thankful that everybody's like, wow, you made me give way more than I thought I was giving tonight. And I'm like, yes, that was my goal tonight.
Love that. That is so great. And oh my goodness, see, this would be so much fun. I got to go to one of these kind of events just because I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely feel in the energy in the right kind of event, you want to be part of it. And you want to walk out of an event feeling like you made a difference. We're all trained and taught since childhood we can be anything, we can do anything. Now you find a mission that you believe in. Well, I want to know how I can help it. And I want to know, well, tell me what you need from me. And a lot of the times it's not buying something. Don't, okay, how is me going on a vacation to Mexico going to help you nonprofit raise money? I want to know, oh, you want my donations? You want my financial support? All right, make me feel good in that. Let me give you money. Let me help you get your goals so that you can do this hard work that I believe in.
Can I ask you, how did you, I know that this is your family. You've seen your mom go through this and your grandfather go through this, but how does a person really get into auctioneering? Did you go to college? Like, what was it that you needed to prepare for this?
Yeah, I mean, I can say I saw my family doing it, but I wanted nothing to do with what they did. Again, my mom was a heavy machinery auctioneer, like dump trucks and front end loaders. I wanted nothing to do with that industry. Went to college, traveled the world, and kind of put me back into I was working for a nonprofit. I was doing an internship with a nonprofit, and I saw this need. I saw that the person representing them on stage didn't get it. They were there for, to be honest, they were there for the free drinks
I love that.
and they were just showing a part of themselves that didn't belong on stage in front of this organization. So I then wanted to do something different. And that's where I started Star Benefit Auctions. But at the time, nobody was doing fundraising exclusive. They were doing that as like their side fun party trick. So to be an auctioneer itself, there are auction schools. They're around the country. There's many of them. And they basically train you the tongue twisters. So they teach you the fast talk. They teach you to count forward, backwards by ones, two and a halves, fives, tens, and they make it so that the numbers are second nature to you. So I'm actually not thinking about the numbers I'm saying. I'm thinking about the psychology in the room. Who's going to bid? Who needs a little bit more inclusion? Who needs a little bit more education about what we're talking about? Who needs me to leave them alone? What is happening? And so it's really reading the psychology of the room. That's what a true auctioneer is doing. But the
Yes.
numbers, the rattle, the cheering, that stuff is trained into you. That's ingrained in my speech, basically.
Well, and you know what? You found what was missing. And
Yeah.
and that's what I'm applauding you about because you saw an opportunity and you took it. And a lot of our listeners are female entrepreneurs and they're always looking outside the box. And I always applaud women that really do that. And I think we are the change makers. We find things out and we look at something and we know that there's something missing. And I don't know if it's ingrained in us, but we want to always help others. And it's these weird, unique ways that we are able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. They say that every nonprofit starts at a kitchen table. It's sitting around a kitchen table with a group of your friends or family and saying there's a problem and we think we can fix it.
For sure.
And I think that's what it is, and there's something missing and we want to fix it. That's how I started. There was something missing and I wanted to
Yes.
fix it. And it's funny, even my mom, when I went to her and said, "Okay, I'm ready to go to auction school," she's like, "You hate what I do. What are you doing?" I said, "No, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to be a fundraising auctioneer." And she was like, "That's not a job. People don't do that." And I was like, "Well, hold my beer."
Yeah,
Watch me,
exactly.
mom. Watch me.
Do you do any training? Do you do anything on the side? I know that you work and you obviously learn about these organizations that you're doing this for, but is there any motivational things that perhaps you do just to kind of keep you up to date with things or to help you develop professionally?
Oh, absolutely. So for me, it's about development. So it's working with the Association of Fundraising Professionals and understanding the challenges that are going on in the donor world. So, what challenges are the organizations facing, whether it be government funding, whether it be donor attrition? What are they facing, and how can we implement that into a stage situation into this short time? And how do we engage them into that? But I will also tell you, my my favorite thing in the world is to be around a salesman. Any kind of person that is in sales, when they are trying to do a good sales pitch, I'm like, teach me all your ways. Teach me everything you're doing because I'm always so intrigued to learn about how you can be a good salesperson
Yeah,
because we're like a heightened salesperson. We have a couple of minutes to sell something to a very exclusive audience. And how do we hype them up and get them excited? But I'll also tell you that I'm a sucker for all of the self improvement and personal development
yeah,
and growth as a person that I can, because I just feel like we can always be better.
I agree completely. Has it changed quite a bit over the last 20 years for you? Is it always reinventing itself? I know that it seems to be, I live in Canada, and in Canada, we see there's not a lot of people going through things, right? And I've been a part of a lot of organizations, and it's hard for them to get the money that they need to keep going. So are you always trying to reinvent and help them so that these organizations can, benefit? How is
Oh,
it that
yeah,
you're doing to
absolutely.
help them? Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have seen so many shifts. I will say 2026 started off with a lot of organizations saying they were afraid to hire somebody to be in this position. And I can super proudly say, so we're March 2026, and every single group that we have worked with has beat their projected goals and their records. So organizations are really thriving at their galas, but it's the fear of getting to the gala that takes a lot of convincing. And that's a development team, that's people looking at the issues that are going on around nonprofits that they're facing all the time. And they really are facing so many struggles. And they're like, if we do a gala, is it even going to be successful? And I can tell you they absolutely are, but their strategies to make them successful. Like I said, the paddle raise is going tremendous. And that's just an opportunity for people to make a pure donation. But if it's not done by the right person with the right feel, then you get somebody walking away feeling like, oh, is the organization okay? Did I put my money in the right place? Is it, they get the ick feeling, they get the awkward silence, they get the record scratch. So the groups that I know that are hiring auctioneers, and I talk to auctioneers around the country about this, around the world, that we're seeing a trend of hiring professionals and utilizing them. So really working with them, consulting, really working about with them and saying, what is working right now? What are you seeing that's working? Are there tricks? Are there trends? Are there games to play? Is there things we can do to up the attendance at the event? Is there things we can do to up the engagement at the event? So that has changed a lot. When we first started 20 years ago, it was all the fundraising came in from the auction items, and that was trips, that was memorabilia, all sorts of items that were being sold. And now we're seeing a lot of our events are not even selling items. They're just doing this paddle raise. It's called the Fund the Mission, Fund the Need, paddle raise. It's called so many different things, but it's basically a gift from the heart. It's an opportunity where the entire room gets to give. And I will say the thing that's the coolest for me about it and has changed over the past couple of years, it's my favorite moment ever because people come to an event and they take all of their baggage, all of their drama, all of their Uncle Freddie won't talk to me because of my beliefs. And they leave everything at the door and they all walk in for the same organization. And no matter what they're thinking and feeling personally, they leave it and they come in and they just wear their organizational hat and they're like, I'm here for this organization. I'm going to make a difference. And they put their paddles up. They encourage each other. They cheer for each other. And it's such a beautiful moment. I think as a society, we're missing it. And it makes me so happy every time I get to be part of that.
I can definitely see why somebody would hire you and what a benefit that would be. Erin, can you tell me how a person can go and check you out? How can they find you? How can they connect with you? What is your social media links so they can find you?
Yeah, so Star Auctions. That's the easiest way. My website is starauctions.com. My Instagram is Star Auctions. My name is Erin Ward. I'm on LinkedIn. It's Star Benefit Auctions if you are searching me. But yeah, I'm all over everywhere. So we have an event this week in the Virgin Islands, which I'm not upset about. And, and then another one in California and then another one in New York. So we are all over the place
Love
and
it.
even up in Canada. So all over the place. And I do have other auctioneers that work with me now. It's
Mhm.
gotten to be a position where we are fortunate to. Our goal is to find an auctioneer that aligns with your mission. So, not just anybody and not just anything. I don't fit all organizations, I fit specific types of organizations. So, for example, I'm a human rights activist. I really believe in human equity and gender equity. So I work with women's empowerment groups and gender equity events. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean I don't also work for the American Heart Association and different groups that are doing different causes. But if I find somebody that comes in and they're telling me, oh, we're for, I can't think of an example, for pets, and we're an animal rights group and we want to do animal rights events. Well, fortunately, my husband is also a charity auctioneer and he thrives at animal events. So we try to find somebody that really fits your mission and make it a connection with that person. So even if I'm not the right auctioneer, I have a huge network of them. So I'm happy to give you direction in your community, in your in what you're looking for. And yeah, absolutely connect with me anyway.
This has been so much fun. And I love how you fit so well into how our mini series is that you are standing firmly in your own identity. And I just absolutely applaud you. You're just absolutely amazing. And the confidence that you have in what you're doing, I love it. So when a person, there's a lot of people, as I said, around the world that listen to our podcasts. And if somebody is looking at, starting their own venture, maybe not necessarily in auctioneering, but in something, what kind of advice, what kind of tips would you have for them?
I think I give a lot of speaking advice. I do some motivational speaking and speak and talk to and do trainers speaking trainer stuff. And so basically, there's a couple tips. So I'll give you one is squeeze your toes. When you're feeling insecure and you're feeling nervous, squeeze your toes, root your energy, ground yourself and just thrive in that moment. The other thing I will say is that everybody is so concerned about themselves, they're not thinking about you. So take yourself out of your head. Don't worry if they're thinking about you, because honestly, they're probably thinking about themselves. And you focus on you. You focus on your impact and what you believe in and why you're there. And like I said, that is where I found my success when I stopped trying to emulate what I saw as successful, emulate what I thought the perfect auctioneer should look like, act like, be like, and just root myself in my beliefs and cheer for myself. And like I said, my 13-year-old self is really proud of me right now. And that's the thing is I think you need to follow your own heart and your own soul in following these things and know that trust yourself and don't worry about what everybody else is doing or thinking or feeling because they're not thinking about you and worried about you. They're thinking about themselves.
Erin, thank you for being unapologetically unique. I am so happy that you were on the Divas That Care, and I really hope that you come back on again soon.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I'm so happy with the work that you're doing and sharing this, and I am thrilled to be part of it.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy that you came on. And I can't wait to share all of your links with our tribe, all the people that are tuning into us. And I just want to say a big shout out to all of these listeners because I want you to make sure that you take this call and you send it to your friends and family. Make sure you share, like, and comment because that's how we get the word out there. And I really think that you guys should go and check Erin out. She's absolutely fantastic. And it's so cool to see this. And you can go see where she's been and the organization she's supported. And I think that's what it's all about is connections and supporting the other change makers of the world. So thank you, Erin, again for coming on to the Divas That Care. Thank you to all of our listeners. And remember to do something kind. Until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.